Well, it's a miserable, windy day outside today. Not good for fishing at all. So I think it's a very good day to do a bit of reel maintenance. And today we're going to talk about our roller bearing on our reels. It's a question I often get from our viewers is how do you service a roller bearing? Is it difficult to do? I'm far away from town. It's not easy for me to get to someone to service a reel. So if you want to do it yourself, I will help you guys and show you how it's done. It's actually very, very simple, but a very, very important part of your fishing reel. If this roller bearing seizes up or gets tight, you can actually lose a fish because it's not turning, or you can damage your braid. So this is something that you got to maintain quite often. And the way that we fish, where the reel gets into the saltwater a lot, they do tend to seize up. Either the bearing in the bush inside gets a bit of salt in it and gets damaged. So I'm just going to maintain this one today and show you guys how easy it is to maintain your roller bearing on the grinder. Alright, so firstly, how would you know if your roller bearing is not working? The best thing to do is to literally take your braid, so take it out there, set your drag very soft so there's not much resistance, put it through, and then just pull it. Alright, so you loosen your drag, put your braid through the roller bearing, and take your hand, just pull it and look at the bearing and see if it's turning. So this one's turning, so it means it's not seized up, but it's very noisy when I reel in, so I know the bearing is not well, and that's why I want to replace a specific one. So if it's still turning, it's okay. It's not seized up at least, but it's noisy, so I know it's not long before it's actually going to seize up, so that's why I'm going to service a specific one. Obviously if it's locked up, then you know you've got to do immediate service and fix it as soon as possible. So this is just something I do quite regularly when I get onto the beach, or even before you go fishing. Just have a quick look at your bearing, make sure it turns, and you know you're good to go. If it doesn't turn well and it's a bit sticky, you know you need to service it. Right, so it's a very simple process. I'm just going to put this braid back on the spool, and then I'll show you guys how to open it up. Right guys, just for the South African viewers, you can order all your pen reel spares through Iron River in Johannesburg, South Africa. Just contact Iron River or sales at Iron River, and they will assist you and get almost all their reel spares in South Africa. So it's very easy. Pick up the phone, give them a call, and order your spares, and they'll send it to you guys. So that is one of the nice things about Iron River, South Africa. They got a huge department that keeps spares only for most of the reels, even the very old reels. So don't hesitate to contact them and order your spares through them. Alright, so let's start opening this roller bearing quickly. Alright, so we grab our Phillips screwdriver, and there's that screw I was talking about, and crack the screw and loosen it. Take it out completely. Just make sure you see how these washers are put in on the inside and the bushes, because they go in a very specific way. So have a good look before everything falls apart. I'm going to put the spares there. Alright, so the screw's out, and then just grab this and pull it out and move it to the side. And there's our whole roller bearing assembly. This bush is the first one that sits next to the bearing. We take that one out, pull the whole roller bearing out. Alright, so we take out the bush on the one end, and on the other end we've got a plastic bush that we'll take out as well. This bush is still in very good condition, so I'm not going to replace that. And then on the inside of this we've got our bearing that we want to replace. So I'm going to push it out with the screwdriver. And that's the little guy that we want to replace. Right, so I've pre-ordered another bearing from Iron River. My bushes are still good, so I'm not going to replace him this time. So this one we're going to throw in the dustbin, and here's my brand new bearing that we're going to put in. So as you guys see, it's not much to it. It's a very, very simple process to open it up and just replace the bushes and the bearings if you need to. Okay, so obviously there will be a bit of salt residue and grease on these parts, so we want to wash them. I like to use benzene to take off the old grease and the salt. The bail arm itself, if you want to take out the bail arm and clean it, it actually just pulls out of the side fitting like that. So very simple. You can just clicks in and out like that, lift it and pull it out. So you can see there's a bit of salt on it there, and I want to take that salt residue off and put a bit of grease on there because I don't want that part of the bell arm to corrode. So I'm just going to give it a dip here in my little benzene bowl and wipe that off, get all the salt off it, get it nice and clean. And then the other side where the bearing sits, I'm exactly the same. Get all the old grease and salt residue out of that. Make sure you clean it nicely. Inside there, inside where the bearing sits. Okay, and that's nice and clean. These are washers and bushes, I'll give them a clean. So we clean all our parts here, then it's as simple as just putting everything back together. So first thing I'm doing, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the other end of my bail arm, and the purpose of this is basically just to prevent corrosion and stop that salt from eating away at this bail arm where it fits into the reel. So you see it's got a little groove, try and show you on camera. So it's got a little groove where it fits in there. Put in the groove and swing it around back into place. Alright, now turn the reel around for you guys. So there's our roller bearing assembly, and I'll put a bit of grease in there. The nice blue pin grease, it always works well for this job. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Alright, so we're going to assemble our roller bearing now. So we grab the casing. Let's put a little bit of grease in there, not much, just to hold the bearing in place. Take our new bearing and place it inside the roller bearing. Right, and then on the other side we've got this little bush that fits in there, the plastic bush. A little bit of grease. Grab our bush and put that inside the bearing. And then on the other end we've got the metal bush, but before I'm going to put that in, I'm going to put one drop of oil on my bearing with the pen oil. Just to lubricate it a bit, and then place the other end of the bush inside. So that's how it fits together, and then we just put everything back onto the bail arm. Alright, so we place everything back onto the bail arm assembly, and before I put it back, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the other side of this washer. To lubricate that. Alright, then we just put everything back together, fit it into its place, hold it together like that, and place our screw back in. Right, then we place our screw. If you really want to, you can put a little bit of a Loctite onto the screw if you're scared it's going to fall out. I'm going to tighten it nicely so I won't have a problem with it falling out. Right, there we go. I'm just going to wipe the excess grease off. Obviously don't want that on our reel. And there we go, we've got our new bearing in, nice and smooth, and this should last us another few months before we repeat the process again. Right guys, so it's as simple as that. Easy little maintenance tip, and it's something you do at home, and this might save you that big fish that could have got away if it wasn't serviced properly.